Hi everyone. So I really wanted to do this booktube thing for a very long time, but I just couldn't muster up the courage to do so. But I have quite a few well-wishers in my life who really think that I should give booktube a shot. And I personally really love watching these types of videos. So I thought, why not? So, hello, my name is Tasnim Nas Choa. I live in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and I wanted to talk about books because I read quite a lot. And if I tell you a little bit about my taste in books, I predominantly read classics. So, and I read really hard hitting books. I like critical, existential, really difficult books in general to read. I'm not really into fluffy and easy books. I don't make reading that easy for myself. So I just wanted to come in here and talk about my reading journey, what I've been reading currently, what I have read, and what I'm looking forward to reading in this year. So if I tell you a little bit about my reading journey, I always read, I've always been an avid reader, but it was until 2025 that I picked up a copy of War and Peace and I decided to read it. And if you know anything about Leo Tolstoy, anything about books, you know that War and Peace is that book that everybody has on their bucket list but never really gets around to reading. So I read it. It took me around 2 months. I read it and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that gave me a lot of boost in life, and it made me very overconfident, and now I feel like I could read whatever. So I've really taken on a challenge to read books that daunt me, and I really focus on quality over quantity. So it's not like I read like 30 books, 40, 50, 100 books a year. I read 10 to 15 really good quality books, and I just thought I would use this channel to talk about those 10 and 15 books, or hopefully more, that I read every year. Without further ado, let me talk about the book that I read absolutely recently, and that book is this one, Han Kang's Human Acts. And this book is really heavy. It's really heavy, it's really tough to read. It's about the democratization of the 1980 uprising. It is about the Gwangju uprising of 1980. So there was a dictatorship during the 1980s in South Korea, and there erupted a kind of democratic uprising during that time. And Human Acts is about these disconnected events, so-called disconnected events, that come together to form this beautiful, really short novel. So if I introduce you to some of the characters, the main character here predominantly is a character called Dong Ho, who is a 15-year-old boy who gets murdered during the uprising. And there's also Sonju, who is a girl, and she is named as the factory girl. There's also another girl called Yoon Suk. I hope I'm not butchering that. Yoon Suk, who is the editor. There is the character Jin Soo, who is the student who is in charge of the provincial office that they run. And there's also the friend of Dong Ho called Jong Dae, and his sister called Jong Mi. So what this book is about exactly what the title says, which is Human Acts. So this book is about flesh and body and about uprising and violence, but all of these are kind of weaved together in a beautiful human act where one person is helping another person almost discover the fact that they are human. This book took me a very little time to read, and the reason why it took me so little time is because it was so hard to get through. I was genuinely so affected by this book. It was an instant 5 stars. I loved it. I recommended it to everyone. And I also read previously Han Kang's The Vegetarian, and I love The Vegetarian. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. I also teach The Vegetarian in my university, but The Vegetarian felt a little bit disconnected. Like I couldn't really connect to it all that much, even though it was about a woman. So I should have connected to it more. But this one really left a mark on me. It's very gory. It is very heavy. There is descriptions of torture. There's descriptions of rotting flesh. Descriptions of such violence during this uprising. It really makes you think about dictatorships and governments, and how you can feel so disconnected to your own body when you're being violated like that. You can also only feel like a fleeting soul in your own body. So this was great. Highly recommend this one. After I read Human Acts, it was so hard hitting, it was so difficult to read, that I immediately needed to pick up something light-hearted and cheerful. I say cheerful, but it's not really cheerful. This is Chaya. This is by Niloy Nondi. So this is a series of ghost stories, and I don't remember reading ghost stories from since I was in school. So it was a great addition to my reading list. It also has these illustrations, as you can see. So this took me a day or two to read. It was so entertaining. And if I talk about how scary it is, it's not that scary. It's just scary enough where it's entertaining, but not scary enough where you cannot read it anymore. You have to put it down, and you just have to look behind your shoulders all the time. But it's just scary enough to the point where it's entertaining. So I really enjoyed this one. I haven't personally read anything by Niloy Nondi. I haven't heard about him. He wrote this book in 2020 and it was republished in this year's Boimela, this year's Ekushe Boimela. So I picked it up from there. I really liked it. I really liked the cover, and I really wanted to read a ghost story, and I think I'm moving on. I'm going to read more ghost stories. Those are the two books that I read recently, and this is a book that I'm reading at the moment currently, which is a book very well known. It's Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. It starts with the very, very famous line, "Last night I dreamt I went to Mandalay again." So this book, I did remember picking it up when I was a student in university, but I never really got around to it. And until recently, I watched a booktube video by one of my favorite booktubers, even though she claims she's not a booktuber, Emma Angelin, and she read it and she loved it. So I wanted to pick it up. So Rebecca, for those of you that don't know, is a story about the character Rebecca, who is the late wife of Maxime de Winter. And Maxime de Winter falls in love with this younger bride who he takes to his palace, his castle, his elusive house called Mandalay. And this new bride cannot help but think that there's Rebecca all around him. So this is very gothic, and I really love Victorian novels. I love gothic novels. I love Jane Eyre. I love Wuthering Heights. I love those kinds of atmospheric novels. So this I'm really interested to read. I'm still very early on in the novel. I'm at page 30 only, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to go on a trip on the 22nd, so I hope to finish a good heft of that novel, so that I'm really inside the narration before I have to travel. So yeah, so there's Rebecca for you. And the book that I bought recently and I'm really looking forward to reading is this one, In the Light of What We Know, by Haider Rahman. I don't really know too much about this book except for the fact that it is set in Afghanistan, if I'm not wrong. It's set in the war in Afghanistan and during the 2008 financial crisis. And Haider Rahman is, I've heard, a fantastic author. I do follow him on Facebook, and he's quite funny. He's really humorous. The book is quite long. It's a really beautiful edition from Picador, India, and I have read quite a few English authors in Bangladesh, basically. So, and some of them have really impressed me. They've really blown me away, and some of them have been very hit and miss. So I'm really looking forward to reading Zia Haider Rahman. So yeah, so these were the 4 books that are in my life currently. So yeah, until next time, I'll hopefully come at you again with a review of Rebecca that I'm reading. And in the meantime, if I do pick up 1 or 2 more books, you'll see me again. So thank you, everyone. Goodbye.